Hello there, Wise Dragon here. MOBAs. They crept on me like an intense case of the shits after a Balti buffet. My first experience of them came in the form of Dota, or Defense of the Ancients, which back in the day was a simple mod in the real-time strategy game, Warcraft 3. I watched a friend play it, and neither of us realised at the time that this subgenre was going to become a game-changing genre. A genre that would go on to become one of the most popular, highly competitive experiences of modern times. It seems like nowadays every single publisher's got a MOBA-esque game in the works, and Epic Games is no exception. They've jumped on the bandwagon with Paragon, and we're here to tell you why you should play it, or if you should play it at all for that matter. Because there's plenty of MOBAs to choose from right now, and this one might just fall into obscurity with all the others that aren't League of Legends. Bear in mind that the footage you're watching is beta, so expect some things we talk about to either be included, excluded, or tweaked before everything goes live. That being said, let's look at what's available right now, because any changes made will probably be minimal, if not insequential, to the actual review. First and foremost, there's something I'm still not accustomed to when it comes to these types of games, and that's the home screen. I fucking hate these types of home screens. It's loot and news and upcoming loot and price drops on loot and skins and skin loot and special offers and price drops on special offers. It's all just way too garish about pawning off aesthetics. I might be alone on this one, but I'm used to just the title screen and then the type of game modes I can play. And I understand that this is where the game makes its money, so it's going to put all the microtransactions at the forefront every time you log in. But then I realised if I wanted to play the alpha, I'd have to fork out 20 quid for a founder's pack, which is absurd. I'm not going to start paying to play something that could potentially be broken beyond all recognition. That being said, Paragon follows the same ethos of Dota 2, in the sense that all the heroes and gameplay items can be earned free through play. Unlike, say, Smite for example, where you could pay real money for them. Plus, if you buy one of Paragon's Challenger or Master Packs, they each come with a free Founders Pack to give to a friend, which is a nice touch, even if they're not necessarily cheap. Money traps aside, let's talk about the game itself. At the moment there's only one map available, Agora. It's a jungle surrounded in ruins, and visually it looks great, and hopefully all the other maps follow suit. Sure, the minions have got that 2.5 fuzzy D texture about them, but who cares, they're minions, they just end up getting pulverized anyway. While I will praise the art style, the lack of background music was a poor oversight. The map mirrors the traditional MOBA style. Two teams start out at opposite ends of a 3-lane layout. Each lane has opposing towers and inhibitors, and each team has a core that ultimately needs to be destroyed. There's also random NPCs scattered around to give your character limited buffs if you defeat them. Paragon also uses a card system to upgrade your hero during the game. You gain experience, or amber, when you level up, and you can either use these points to equip new cards, or make your ability stronger. Each character has 6 card slots. Some are passive and some are constantly active, and you can upgrade their effectiveness as you level up. Some cards are also unique to certain heroes, and you can earn new cards to build a deck suited to your playstyle. But that's all I could really gather from it all. I'm new to the MOBA scene, so it all seemed kind of far-fetched to me. I'm sure if you're a veteran when it comes to this type of deal, you'll have it down in no time. I just went with the ones that sounded cool, like the Wind Carver Blade, even though later I found out it's one of the most common and useless cards in the long run and that I should have been discarding it to make way for better cards, but still. Learn by doing, right? So if you're a complete and utter noob like me, Epic are kind enough to include a bunch of tutorials. Even if you've played MOBAs before, they're worth a look at if you want to avoid needless frustration when it comes to Paragon's mechanics. Plus, Paragon gives you the option to play on your own or competitively against AI at the start, so you can get a feel for what you're getting yourself into if you move on to PvP. And more importantly, feel out the characters you're about to effectively utilise in battle. While we're on the subject, let's talk about the characters. You've got your fighters, tanks, assassins, rangers, casters and supporters, and their roles basically speak for themselves. While some of them are pretty unique, like Richter and the gnarly Kraken Beast Rampage, I did notice something about a lot of the characters that was a bit unsettling. Take Steel for example. Doesn't he remind you of another character in a popular game right now with his big old shield? Or how about Howitzer, who bears a striking resemblance to another popular character, minus the fur? What about Muriel, who can fly to her targets and buff them? Hey look, it's Bastion, and oh, just look at Twin Blast, what the fuck? It's gotta be said that most of these characters are really uninspired. But hey, just buy a bunch of skins and then you won't know the difference, right? I've gotta stop comparing shit to Overwatch. Paragon's combat has its moments, especially when you play a heavy hitter like Steel. Every successful hit feels satisfying, and each character's ultimate ability really stands out. Land one at the right time and you've got yourself a power play worth celebrating over. Epic clearly wanted to make every skirmish a big pile of chaotic fun. Get in there. Oh my god, go for the core. Boo! Oh, everything's just exploding in my face. Take it down. Ah, take it down! Single shit! I am the Paragon! I've always been a fan of team-based combat too, and Paragon forces you to combine multiple abilities to get the best out of your individuals in a good way. One player corners off an enemy with a field-based trigger while tanks storm in and rangers pick them off from the high ground. It's all about strategy and not just running in firing off all cylinders. Obviously there's the tendency to get carried away like I did multiple times, bursting through the lines all guns blazing like Rambo on gorilla steroids, but pulling off a team kill's always more gratifying than going solo. Otherwise you just end up an obliterated heap at the hands of well-organised opponents. It's like an extreme game of chess. You send the pawns in, you move your bishops and knights around a bit, and then you pigeonhole anything in your path knowing you've got a bunch of castles ready to sweep the line and get the first check-in. It's all about the counterplay, which seems to be the bread and butter for most MOBAs, and I can see the appeal, but therein lies the problem for me. It's high-octane gameplay mixed with the methodical nature of excessive waiting and planning. Sure, when you sense a break and you go for it, the rush is full on, but these moments are few and far between, and may never happen at all if you're constantly getting wrecked. There's a lot of lull periods and waiting it out and waiting for an opportunity to strike that slows down the tempo drastically. Some games can last hours, and that's not necessarily a good thing if it's purely because everything feels sluggish. Paragon is a MOBA through and through, and not the frantic first-person shooter hybrid everyone had it tipped to be. Remember, this is coming from a guy who doesn't play these kind of games often, and while I did enjoy the experience, I've come to the conclusion that Paragon is average and nothing spectacular. I respect what Epic are trying to accomplish here. It's PS4 to PC crossplay, the third-person perspective and the detailed aspect to draw positives from. But when you're dealing with a rough interface, a steep learning curve and a whole bunch of other niggly bits in between, you come to realise Paragon still needs a bit of work if it wants to compete with the many other well-established MOBA titles out there. Hopefully the solid community which Epic have actively supported in development will push this game forward and make it better over time. But in reality, by the time that happens it might be too late, or just not enough to make Paragon stand out. So what do you think? Will you give Paragon a chance, or are you firmly dedicated to another MOBA? Or do you think MOBAs are overrated like I do? Let us know in the comments below, and as always, for more rants, news, chats and reviews, subscribe to Wise Dragon. You'd be wise to do so. Oh, he's even got the same fucking pose. God damn it. It's either the worst coincidence ever or the laziest character design in history. Either way, die, die, die!